Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have a Swedish beer that I'm kind of excited for on two counts. So this one's a collaboration beer between Poppels Bryggeri from Mölnlycke and Malmö Brewing Company, obviously from Malmö here in Skåne in southern Sweden. So the collaboration beers and project beers that Poppels do are always quite good, and the exciting thing about Malmö Brewing Company is that you hardly ever find any of their beers in bottles. These guys are exclusively a kind of brew pub sort of style business, but their beers are really quite good. If you go to the brewery and try them, you know, it really is a shame that they don't bottle up their beers, but definitely looking forward to this one. This is the Imperial Pilsner. It comes in at 7% ABV and it should be quite nice. It's a very, very new beer. I'm reviewing it the day after it became available in Systembolaget. You'll be seeing this review, I guess, sometime around the 10th of February, but this beer only came out on the 3rd of February, so really excited to try this one, and I hope you guys enjoy the review. And it's always cool to return to Poppels and Malmö Brewing Company, of course, as well. So yeah, anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews and my other reviews that hopefully I can do from Malmö Brewing Company. There's a link there for all the Poppels beer reviews that I've done for you as well, and no doubt I'll add to that in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you before, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. Always interesting to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is always hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the breweries then, we'll start off with Poppels Bryggeri then. So as I've mentioned to you before, the Poppels Bryggeri is named after the one that was owned by Johann Poppel, who was a well-known German-Swedish brewer who actually spent most of his life in Varberg and Gothenburg, but he was born sometime between 1605 and 1610 in Lower Saxony in Germany before he moved to Sweden with his family in the 1620s. And he met his wife Katarina Krakow sometime between 1624 and 1628, and they later founded Gothenburg's first brewery together in 1649, but it's actually thought that they were brewing since the year 1638. It was only the official foundation that was recognised in 1649. But he's also said to have written down the protocol of the city of Gothenburg in Swedish for the first time, as opposed to German. And of course, that's a lot of this culture between Germany and Sweden is shared, and that's why the Nordic languages are somewhat similar to German, of course. But the brewery apparently remained in the Poppels family for many generations, and the most famous site of the brewery in Gothenburg is actually Stigbergstorget, so I need to go and have a look at that sometime. But the Poppels Bryggeri in its current form was founded in 2012 in Mölnlycke on a site that was apparently owned by the Poppel family. But the brewery is today owned by 15 beer lovers, and it aims to focus on the pairing of beers with food actually. And you can kind of taste that in their beers. Their beers are sometimes a little bit lighter in the mouthfeel, and they're just supposed to complement other flavours as well. Some of their regular beers aren't so punchy, but the Project series beers, like I was saying, these are the ones that have the really big kind of punchy flavours, and the collaborations always throw up some interesting things as well. But the current head brewer is Daniel Granat, who's apparently a bit of an experimenter and a perfectionist, so he brews many of his new beers 4 to 5 times before he actually allows them to be released, and apparently also reads a lot of beer blogs and keeps up to date with all the information on the internet and things like this, you know, to keep up to date with new beers that are coming out, new trends, new flavours, new hops, and all of these sort of things. So Poppels Bryggeri are a very interesting one for you to have a look at. And especially as well, Gothenburg is a really big beer city inside Sweden these days. There's a couple of breweries, I think, down in Mölnlycke these days, but Gothenburg, a very, very good beer city in Sweden, and Poppels are probably one of the older and kind of more established craft breweries there at the moment, but there's some very, very good beer in that city. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Malmö Brewing Company then. So Malmö Brewing Company were founded back in 2002 when Anders Hansson and his parents actually bought the old Tjädern building in Malmö. And Anders says that he'd been interested in this property for a very long time, which was actually the last surviving brewery building in Malmö, having housed the Rechter brewery up until 1898. But Anders apparently had been interested in brewing from a very early age, and he'd been involved in the industry for a number of years prior to founding Malmö Brewing Company. So a lot of work was actually put into renovating this property, and the family operated it as a conference centre and as a nightclub, and this helped them raise the money to renovate the old brewery building. But the idea all along was to have their own brew pub in this old building, and it's actually not too far from Malmö Triangeln station. And if you go in today, it really is, it's very nicely done. If you go in the main door, you go down into the little almost basement kind of bit, the basement sort of mezzanine, and they've got this lovely long bar and some of the nice booths that you can sit in. If you go up the stairs, they've got this almost kind of open plan restaurant, and you can see bits of the brewery just coming down through the actual building. But if you go up the stairs, that's the conference centre where they kind of hold a lot of the different beer festivals. I was there just a week or two ago for the Russian beer festival, which was damn good. They always do some really, really nice different beers from different countries. They've had French beer festivals, Portuguese beer festivals, Russian beer festivals, and no doubt there will be more. But Anders is a very, very nice guy. He's quite distinctive, a very tall guy with a big beard, so you can't really miss him if you see him around in the festival. Very, very nice chap. But they also have their other bar at Hamnestein, which is actually very close to Malmö Central Station, but that one, in my experience, seems to have some unusual opening hours and things. I've been there quite a few times and it just hasn't been open, but it does seem to be open more regularly in the summer. But the frustrating thing about Malmö Brewing Company is that when you try their beers in the bar, they are actually very, very good, but they just hardly bottle any of them. They are quite focused on this idea of just being a little local brew pub. They're not as interested in having a production brewery, although they do say, Anders did say, that may well happen in the future. So we just need to see how it goes. But if you find yourself in Malmö, do make an effort to seek out the Malmö tap room, because it really is a very good beer destination. And the head brewer of these guys is Thomas Fransson, actually, so he's a very nice guy as well. I did get the chance to meet him the other day when I was in at Malmö Brewing as well. So yeah, this one should be a really interesting beer. This one's a 7% Imperial Pilsner. The reviews that I read of it on Rate Beer were positive, but of course, since it's a very new beer, it doesn't actually have an official rating yet, but it should be nice. It says best before, I think, the 10th of the 12th, 2018. So this beer should actually last quite a wee while, but I want to drink it fresh. But it says here, I think it's meaning that it was brewed only in a 4,000 litre batch. It's got 50 IBUs and it's a little 330 milliliter bottle. So yeah, let me just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one then. So there's my cursor there. Now, as you can see, the typical Poppels artwork on this one, this of course is the Malmö Brewing Company symbol. It's an organic beer of course as well. You can see the EU organic symbol on the back, and it says this one, it basically says on the back that it tells you it's a collaboration of course between Malmö and Poppels Bryggeri, and it says that they've tried to brew a sort of exciting hop fresh beer with this one, so it should be really nice. It tells you a little bit what you should kind of pair it with, and it tells you whether it's kind of hoppy or sort of sweet and things like this too, so just pay attention to that. There's the standard Poppels bottle cap on this one, but it should be a really nice beer. And without further ado then, I guess let's get it open and get on with the tasting. I'm looking forward to this because, as I say, you can't often find a Malmö Brewing Company beer, and the Poppels beers, especially the collaborations and the project ones, tend to be very nice, so definitely looking forward to this. But I'll tell you right away, as I've opened this beer, you can really smell some nice, almost American hop fruit coming off this beer. You can smell a little bit of citra or something in this one. There's a little bit of that lighter kind of tropical fruit. But as you can see, this beer is poured exactly as you'd expect a sort of lager kind of pills type thing to pour. It's a nice kind of rich, quite orange colour. You could almost mistake this beer for being an IPA. It's a little bit darker, to be honest, than most lagers and pilsners that you're going to come across, I would think, but it does have the right kind of look to it. It's crisp, it's pretty much clear. There's a few little bits of sediment floating around, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. There's a half finger of a frothy white head on this one, but it is really quite nice. So yeah, let's have a closer look at the aroma with this one then. But as I say, you can smell some of these nice light fruits coming off this. Oh, right. Well, the one thing I'm going to say about this beer, this reminds me a little bit of some of the Malmö Brewing Company beers that I've had. I think it was a triple actually. Oddly enough, it was a triple beer, and I forget the name of it now, but there was a triple beer that I had when I was actually in Malmö tap room, and the hoppy aromas that are coming off this beer remind me a lot of that. But this is really interesting. You can definitely smell some of the nice kind of rich caramel in this beer. There's a bit of the biscuity malt coming out as well, which again is what you expect of this style. There's some floral kind of grassy notes in there too, but the interesting aspect to this one is the fruity character. Yeah, you know, you can smell a little bit. There's obviously some noble hops in here as well, or Czech hops or something like that. You've got the typical slightly earthy character coming out, but then mainly a nice floral and grassy note from the beer. There's not much in the way of pine resins or anything like that. It definitely comes across as quite a nice, wet, floral aromaticity. It really is quite nice actually. There's a nice smell to this beer. I haven't tried too many Imperial Pils style beers, but it really is quite, it's just quite an unusual aroma, and it's really quite nice the way it comes across. But yeah, there's definitely some fruity character in there. You know, there's a little bit of citrus, but I think there's a little bit of maybe a slight kind of grapefruity note. Or I do get the suspicion there's a little bit of citra hop in here maybe, because it has some of the kind of lighter, almost lychees character and sort of slightly gooseberry notes coming out of it. There's maybe a wee touch of orange or something in there as well, which could well be a little bit of mosaic or something that's in there, because mosaic of course gives you the oranges and a little bit of the sort of lighter tropical fruits that you expect from citra. But there's definitely a nice little bit of fruity character to this one, so it has everything you expect of the Pils. It's got quite a rich, slightly boozier caramel, because it is an Imperial Pils. But some biscuity, some caramel, a little bit of the noble hop character, slight earthiness, some nice floral, wet floral character, lighter grassy notes, and then you've got this nice fruity character on top of it. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in. So let's give this beer a try now. So this is the Imperial Pilsner. It comes in at 7% ABV, a collaboration beer from Poppels Bryggeri up in Mölnlycke near Gothenburg in Sweden, and Malmö Brewing Company, obviously from Malmö here in Skåne in southern Sweden. Let's get stuck into this beer then. Skål! Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. That really is a pretty nice beer. You know, the first thing you're going to say about this one, it's not going to blow your head in terms of hoppiness or in terms of sweetness. This beer is about the blend of flavour. This is a really, just on the first taste, this beer is all about how the flavour blends together. It really is quite nice. An easy drink in this one. And I tell you something, it does actually feel quite a bit like these beers that I've had in Malmö Taproom. So I do wonder if some of this beer was actually brewed at Malmö Taproom instead of at Poppels Bryggeri. But as I say, Malmö Taproom, they don't bottle their beers. They do they do some growlers and things like this, but they don't bottle their beers. So I think it probably was like brewed at Poppels Bryggeri, just in a small batch, but it's interesting because it definitely has a very similar mouthfeel to the beers that you get on tap in Malmö Taproom. It's just an interesting point, that. But that's nice. If you get the chance to try this beer, definitely have a go at it. I would go as far as saying with this one, this actually is one of the best kind of Pilsner beers I've had in quite a long time actually. And you know, when you've got two breweries like this involved, you kind of do expect something that's going to be pretty damn good. Malmö Brewing Company, as I say, their beers that they do in their own bar are really damn good. And Poppels Bryggeri, when it comes to the project and the small batch things, they do some really awesome stuff as well. But this is nice. So in terms of the flavour of this one, with the malt base, it has everything you'd expect. You've got a little bit of bready character just underpinning the beer. On top of that, there's a little bit of a kind of caramel, and it comes across as being a little bit toasty, to be honest. There is a little bit of darkness to the caramel flavour in this beer. There's some grainy biscuity notes as well. The graininess in the beer does linger on a little bit. You can detect that a little bit, that there is some of the organic malt in there. I always find organic malt just tastes a little bit different from non-organic malt. And you can taste a little bit of that organic character in there, but it really mixes in well with the rest of the flavours actually. But this is a nice beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I want to try this on tap, so I'll need to go down to Taproom and see if this one is actually available on tap down there. I'm sure it will be. There'll be a couple of kegs have gone down from Mölnlycke to Malmö at some point. But it's nice. I mean, in the back corners of the palate, you're getting that little bit of earthiness, and that's a bit of the kind of noble hop character. There's definitely some noble hops in this one. But you can feel as you go further forward along the sides of the palate, there's a nice kind of floral aromaticity to this beer, and around the front curve of your palate you've got a nice lighter grassy note in there, and that, to me, there definitely is some noble hop in here. You don't get those flavours without using some German noble hops or Czech Sats or things like this, or maybe even Slovenian hops. There's definitely some sort of Central European hop in there, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But the fruity character of the beer is quite interesting as well. So if you just go behind the front curve of your palate, you'll feel that little oily bubble that comes out, and that's where all these fruity esters come out on the palate. And for me, there's a little bit of citrusy character in there, but there is a wee bit of a kind of tropical fruit coming out of this one as well. There's a little bit of an almost grapefruity character in there. It actually reminds me of the Schiehallion lager beer that we have back in from Harveston Brewery at home in Clackmannanshire. It really does remind me of that a little bit. This is probably why I enjoy the beer so much, because it's like that, but you can taste that it's just a little bit stronger in the booziness. But that's good. This is a really nice beer. So there's a little bit of citrusy character coming out of this one. You can feel it. It's not quite a sharp lemon, but you can feel as you progress into the aftertaste, there is a little bit of a kind of lemony, citricy character there, and it mixes well with the sort of grassy hop flavours that you're getting from this beer. But there is a little bit of a kind of slightly grapefruity character and some of these lighter tropical notes. As I was saying, I think there's maybe a bit of citra hop in here, and it's some of the almost kind of light cheese and kind of peary, almost peary esters that you're getting out of this beer a bit later on. But for me, it really is a pretty nice beer, this, and I wouldn't expect anything less when you've got the two breweries like this involved in the beer. So in terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this one is kind of mid-bodied. For a lager beer, it is actually quite heavy. It comes across as more of an ale than a lager, of course. The carbonation in this one is quite smooth, although you wouldn't think it when you're actually looking at the beer. There's a lot of carbonation visible, but it's a lot smoother than you think it's going to be. It's got quite an oily mouthfeel, actually. It could... I'm not sure. I mean, apart from some of the flavours, you know, the biscuity and slightly bready flavours you get into it, it's almost got the same mouthfeel to it and the same kind of hoppy character that you might expect of a pale ale, to be honest. But that said, really, really nice. I mean, it doesn't matter as long as the beer tastes good, that's the main thing. But you've got a little bit of hoppy bitterness from this guy. The malt base is quite nice. As I said, for me, the hoppy side of things, in the aftertaste, it's the earthiness and a bit of the floral character that's just lingering there. But it's got a little bit of bitterness from the hops that just kind of lingers there into the aftertaste. A mix of sweetness and a little tiny bit of bitterness from the sort of grainy aspect of the malt base as well, and there's a little bit of juicy fruit as well. But overall, it really is quite a nice beer, and I'd love to try it on tap and just see how it comes across with the slightly different mouthfeel that you get on tap. Maybe it comes out just a little bit sweeter than it is or something like that, but overall it really is quite a nice beer, and it impresses me that they can produce something with the taste profile that this has when it's ekologisk as well, or organic, sorry, I'm thinking in Swedish, but it really is a nice beer, and you know, hats off to Poppels Bryggeri and to Malmö Brewing Company as well. So if you get the chance to try some of the Poppels Bryggeri, the project beers, or the collaborations, definitely have a go at them. If you find yourself in Malmö, then I would highly recommend a visit to either Hamnestern or to Malmö Taproom. Malmö Taproom is probably a better bet, right enough. But I always say this with Malmö Brewing Company's beers, they do some awesome stuff, but they frustrate me no end because they don't bottle it. And it's interesting as well because the only growler, you can get a growler from Malmö Brewing Company. If you talk to Anders, he says, we're very glad that we have this, but if you buy a growler in Sweden, you can't buy anything that is more than 3.5% because you're not allowed to buy anything more than 3.5% other than from a restaurant or from Systembolaget. So I can't go in and ask them to fill up a growler with some of their beers and just bring it home. You just can't do that, unfortunately, and it's one of these laws in Sweden that is a little bit backwards. I think that's something that will hopefully change in the next few years, that you can take growlers away from brew pubs and things like this that have stronger beers in them, and I certainly hope that's the case with Malmö Brewing Company, but because they do some awesome stuff and I'd love to review those for you on the channel. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to review some of their stuff at some point for you in the near future. I do think they have more collaboration beers coming out this year, but I will be able to review some more Poppels Bryggeri beers for you. But really cool to try this one. If you get the chance to try the Imperial Pilsner from Poppels and from Malmö Brewing Company, definitely give it a go. It's quite widely available in Systembolaget at the moment, and if it's successful, I'm sure Poppels will continue to brew this one. So yeah, thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out the usual social media. If you want to If you want to get in touch and let me know your own thoughts on this beer, that would be hugely appreciated. It's always interesting to hear from you guys and see what you think. Let me know your favourite beers both from Malmö Brewing Company and from Poppels Bryggeri as well. As I say, always interesting to hear from you guys. Hopefully I can review some more beers from Malmö, and I'm sure I will review more from Poppels Bryggeri in the next little while. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Imperial Pilsner, what do you call it? An organic Imperial Pils from Malmö and from Poppels Bryggeri. Until the next time, it's landed just now, and I will catch you very soon. Make sure you give this beer a go if you come across it. Cheers.